Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Jesus said to his apostles, "Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Whoever receives you receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me. Whoever receives a prophet because he is a prophet will receive a prophet's reward, and whoever receives a righteous man because he is a righteous man will receive a righteous man's reward. And whoever gives only a cup of cold water to one of these little ones to drink, because the little one is a disciple, amen, I say to you, he will surely not lose his reward." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Effort to be more like Elisha and to live out my calling as prophet, priest, prophet, and king, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick a family, and you'll find out when I show up at your door, and I'm going to show up every week, stay overnight at your house for 6 months. I expect you to feed me well, take care of my dog. At the end of that 6 months, I'm expecting you to build me a small room in your house where I can come and stay. So just dread it. When you hear that doorbell ring about 9 o'clock at night and you see me standing out there with a dog. So, the readings today focus on hospitality and receiving and welcoming. As you know, most of you know, I was in the hotel business for about 10 years. Had a couple of different jobs. At first, I was a busboy. You know what that does? You just clean up dishes and run dishes and fill up water and iced tea. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't that much fun. I mean, the money you made, you were at the whim of your server or your waiter, whatever you want to call them. And they would give you a percentage, but it wasn't a calculated percentage. It depended upon how much they wanted to keep for themselves and how hard had you worked, which makes sense, right? And then they tip you out at the end of the day. That's how you make money. Now, after I've been there for a few months, I would see these guys. They were the doormen and the bellmen, and they looked like they were having a good time. It was a pretty cool job. And then one day I saw one of the doormen. He was wearing a Rolex. Okay. He would sit down in the break room and read the Wall Street Journal. I'm like, maybe this guy's on to something here. And he'd been there for about 20 years. So then I started asking around. I'm like, well, what do they do? They come in and they say hello. They unload your car. They're nice to you. You take their luggage. You take their luggage up to their room. You get them some ice, and they give you money. Like, let me get a piece of that. And so I did that for the rest of the time I was there in college. And as I found out, it was a great training to become a priest. You just stand around and are nice to people, and you hope they give you money. So that's kind of it. Now, I had to get used to a transition because when I worked for Hyatt, they had a wide variety of hotels. It was a mid to high end chain, and so they had, run-of-the-mill Hyatts. Like, you guys remember the one that was down here, that abysmal stone structure that looks like an Aztec temple. But that's and that was a pretty big deal. And then they had really, really expensive ones like the Park Hyatt in Chicago and Park Hyatt in New York City. Really super nice, right? And you could, the reception was the same, but it was good. It was welcoming, right? But you could tell. And then when I left the hotel business and I was in sales, I got bumped down to the Hampton Inn level. I'm like, all right, free breakfast. Woo. But it was different, right? There wasn't a doorman out front to help you unload your luggage, and there wasn't a bellman there. And then after I got out of sales and marketing and business development, and I was in seminary, and I was traveling back and forth from seminary to Knoxville or to Chattanooga at the time, I'd find myself in a Motel 6. And I'm like, how far have I fallen, Lord? What have you done to me? How have you abandoned me? But there's a difference, the way that you are received and the difference in those hotels. Right? There's somebody there to welcome you. That's why, and some people don't like it, but that's why I really like having that reception desk, out there, so that if you're new and you walk in someplace, there's somebody there to greet you, to help you, to welcome you, to receive you properly. And you guys know this. Over here, we don't call, in Europe, they call the front desk reception, the reception desk. We just call it the front desk. It's very American of us, the front desk. But it's about being received, right? So, and even now, what they've tried to do is, in a lot of the higher-end hotels, they've gotten rid of the big front desk, and they have these little pods where you go up to, so there's no wall between you and the desk. It's supposed to make you feel more received and welcomed into the hotel. Now, why do I talk about this? Well, I want to talk about how we receive others, not just into our homes, but into our lives, into our personal life, into our spirituality, and then the way and how we reflect upon how we welcome others will directly correspond to and reflect to how we welcome Jesus in the Eucharist, Jesus in the Word into our lives. When we meet a stranger, do we welcome them with love? Are we kind to them? Are we charitable? Can they tell that there's something loving about us, or are we standoffish? Or are we up a wall? Do we receive them with fervor? Are we excited? Yes, it's so nice to meet you. Please, come into my house. Let me make you something to eat. I'm going to go build you a room up on top of my roof. Do we do that? Do we receive people with intention? Hey, I'm happy you are here. What can we do to help you? What can we do to help you, to make your life easier, to help you feel more comfortable? Or is it with just ambivalence? It's like you got that uncle that's always sitting there on the chair watching TV at Thanksgiving when somebody new comes in. He's like, that's all he does. He doesn't say anything. Or with judgment. When we meet somebody for the first time, do we look at him and say, well, you look different from me, or you're not what I expected. I don't know if I really trust you. So think about this when it comes to Jesus. Because when Jesus says, he who receives a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. He who receives a righteous man will receive the reward of a righteous man. So Jesus is in us, right? He tells us that. So when we receive Holy Communion, do we receive it in the sacrament and the Word? Do we receive it with love? Do we approach Him with the proper amount of piety, or is it just like another day and it's just something we have to do before we get out of here and go to get something to eat after Mass? Do we approach Him with fervor? Are we looking forward to coming to church on Sunday? I'm not even going to ask you to raise your hands on that. Or do we just being made to come to Mass because, number one, Mom makes us come, Dad makes us come, or if you're grown up, I don't want to go to hell, right? All right. That's kind of with bad intention, or with ambivalence. It's like, okay, another day, another Sunday, just going to line up here like I'm getting on a bus or an airplane, and, get my ticket and get on out of here. What about disbelief? We don't think that this is really the body and blood, soul and divinity of Jesus Christ, according to the polls, the people in the pew. People that are in the pews right now, not the ones who have left, but 30% of you, only 30%, believe that this is the body and blood, soul and divinity of Jesus Christ. That's not what matters. Or with judgment. Like, I'm coming to Mass, I'm coming to receive communion. What have you done for me lately? Right? I prayed about this, I asked for this, I asked to win the lottery 22 times, and nothing's happened. Right? I don't believe you are who you say you are. The way that we receive others is the way we receive Jesus. Now, I'll give you two examples. One, I had a boss who, whenever I would walk into his office, or anybody would walk into his office, he'd be working away, sitting there typing or something, and instead of just like, I'd ask a question, and instead of just him keeping on typing or writing down something, he'd stop, put his pen or pencil down, put the phone down, turn around, and pay attention. Right? We know people who are like that, and we know people who are not like that. You know when you're wanted, when you're being well received. And I always remember that. The other thing I always remember was probably the second most traumatic experience in my life, other than Mom abandoning us at a store while she was trailing us the whole time, trying to let us get lost. So she would get that scared out of us from an early age. So that didn't work. But we went camping. It was me and my mom and my sister. I was probably 5. My sister was about 3. Then my grandma and grandpa. So we were camping, and then earlier on in the day, Mom said, "Hey, this family invited you over to roast marshmallows." So, okay, we'll go do that. And then, so the sun goes down. She gives us a bag of marshmallows, and I grab my little 3-year-old sister by the hand, and I go walking over there, and this lady comes up. She's like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Well, they told us, Mom told me to come over here, and we're going to roast marshmallows. Did you want us to come over here?" She's like, "You're not part of this family. You don't belong here. Go back to your family." So I was just devastated, right? Is that how we welcome people? You're not part of this family. You're not welcome here. So to bring it down to the very end, just ask yourself this: when it comes to the receiving of others into our lives, into the welcoming of Jesus into our lives, we can choose. We can choose Motel 6s, or we can choose